My name is Miss Margaret Gordon. I am the founder. I am one of the neighborhood-based founders and community resident of West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project. I came to a meeting and I never left. The mission is about how do we advocate for air, water, and soil with community participatory research and policy, practice of equity, inclusion, bringing those disparities for resolution and resolving those combined disproportionate impacts to a community like West Oakland. Because we have soil issues, because the West Oakland land is the oldest industrial land that has never been totally cleaned up, pristine for housing. So the city has done since the incorporation of West Oakland, which did not go into effect until the 60s. West Oakland was not incorporated to the city until the 60s, and right after, just before the building of the post office, just before the Cypress Freeway and the container ship of the port. This was not part. West Oakland was not part of the city of Oakland, and also at BART. So when the eminent domain came in to transform 7th Street, that was the linchpin to put the West Oakland into the port and into the city of Oakland. First of all, you had to have a department. You have a race and equity department, but no real power to implement any of these disparities under the general plan around the issue of environment. First of all, you don't have the most sophisticated technical staff to really understand the core principles of environmental justice. You have to understand or live the core principles of environmental justice. And I don't feel is that the existing staff have that flavor. Really do not have that flavor to do that work. They are doing a lot of speculation and estimation on what that's supposed to look like. But as far as really capturing what the community is talking about around the issues of exposure, proximity, land use, planning, being more including and decision making, and stop talking about feedback and input, and using our expertise on these issues of environmental justice, and using other people's around the world's testimony of how to reduce these disproportionate impacts or burdens. It'd be different. But the city always come up with the business plan or a governmental plan that does not really reflect what is the bottom line, only to their bottom line, not the community's bottom line. The impacted community's bottom line or the vulnerable community's bottom line. It's all about their bottom line, and whoever is the commercial or residential developers' bottom line, and their staff and consultants' bottom line. We have to really talk about lawsuits, filing, stopping grants, interfering in the writing of grants to get them to understand based on my experience of what we had to do as West Oakland Environmental Indicators to get the city and developers' attention to understand there is spaces and places that want to hear about our impacts and our disproportionate impacts within the city. And that, it seems as though we still have this big gap and disconnection when it comes down that the city does not have all its ducks in a row. They don't, and they don't want to admit to it. The strongest environmental plan is that you have to keep asking the question, a couple things. Where is the data? Where is the money? And who's making the decision? And how does it apply short term, medium term, and long term? If we don't have those in perspectives, they're gonna go tell us anything. They're gonna get a consultant, a high level consultant to write out a bunch of stuff to us, and we have to question every sentence, every paragraph that consultant wrote. Because the consultant is not from the neighborhood. It's not from the impacted community. They're not vulnerable. They have not lived the experience some of us had. So by writing the most technical document that does not really have assurance of a plan of action for reducing those disparities, we're going to be following the same thing that we did 25 years ago, and how downtown looks right now. Downtown does not look very affordable for everyone. And West Oakland and the surrounding areas that's part of this general plan will look like downtown. And there's going to be somebody else is picking and choosing who gets to live in this community. Or in East Oakland, the Fruitville, there's somebody else going to get to do that. Well, the model has been that in the past, because of redevelopment, the city could put out an RFP to get stores or corporations to come in, or retailers to come in and work out a system to bring in a store. But it's no more working like that anymore. We don't have the clout that we should have to have those food resources as the same way they have in Alameda, Emeryville, in the Hills areas, Rock Ridge. All right, when it comes down to the Flatlands, it's a whole different story based on the economics. The economics is here, okay? The economics are here, but how do we be more supportive of having those more realistic food distribution centers like a Safeway, a Lucky's, Food Co., grocery outlet? That's something different when it comes down to the Flatlands. It's only very sparsely in certain communities in the Flatlands where they have that. And if you look at the Fruitville, there's not a major grocery store. There's not a major commercial food store. They had to bring in their own Latino-type food businesses and into that community. Further and deeper in certain parts of East Oakland, it's still the same until you get out on the outer ends where there are those real known stores that they've been where more homeowners are, that they have that ability to have not be in the food desert. But this plan of action for West Oakland and certain areas of the Flatlands of not having that ability to have a store that is supporting not to be in a food desert is not here. Well, as long as we have sparsely subsidized housing, because that's what it is. It's not a consistent, we have no real consistency to support those who need that affordable housing based on resilience. The housing management style is not based on we want you to stay here, and we are transitioning you out from being a renter to a homeowner. All right, so you don't be caught in this tornado of inconsistency and poverty. So we do not have a system set up that transform or translate out of being a renter into a homeowner. And if we had that type of a system going back way back when, even though the military helped those who came out of the military to buy homes, and even under FHA was supposed to do the same thing, but it has been very inconsistent in supporting communities being able to transition from a renter to a homeowner. As long as the city of Oakland have all these relationships with developers who wants to come and take over industrial-based land to build housing, market rate housing, we're gonna have this inconsistency. Until that really comes to having a model, because the city does not have a good model to show how to have mixed income resiliency housing, and also be supportive of making those businesses that bring pollution having a joint governmental process, because you need government on all ends. Because I don't think the city, as long as the developers are involved, the city will not do due diligence around the issue of pollution. Because the city of Oakland does not have a public health department. You don't have a public health staff. So how can they create housing that does not have indoor pollution? All right. How do they create that? How do they be involved in getting the port and its tenants to have electric trucks, electric charging stations? Where is that at? There is not a real joint venture or governmental joint venture of what that looked like for the flatlands. There's no such thing. Until we have these joint efforts of where money is and the technology is and who can afford it, and also the built-in resiliency to keep the emissions down or the pollution down, we'll be struggling through this process. There's no need, for instance, they're gonna build a whole new tower housing with the BART here in West Oakland. But where you gonna put the trucks at? You got a Howard terminal where you're gonna talk about put the stadium, but where you gonna put the trucks at? All right? Where is the relationship between the port and the city and the state to where these trucks gonna go? Or will we have a blended process where the trucks will be there based on the fact they are electric and they have charging stations? We don't know. We don't know. Everybody wants the trucks to go somewhere, but the supply chain of goods that we need got to come through the port. And the ports bring trucks, trains, and ships. And that has not been really a comprehensive planning. Okay, before I answer that, we don't take care of what we got. If we took care of what we got, I could be a champion on both green spaces. But we don't take care of what we got. And there's always a fight, budget-wise, to just take care of it. Just even the sidewalks where the trees are. All right? So show me a plan how you're going to take care of what you got then before you start expanding and bringing in more open spaces. And then if you really want more open spaces, why we don't have rooftop gardens and a tree planting all downtown as part of open spaces? So, there's a remedy to some of this stuff. There's a plan of action that could have been done on some of these things when you start talking about open spaces. Having open spaces, and also open spaces for who? For who? Give me a parking with West Oakland now, but I still my lungs got to compete for the air quality against the trucks, trains, and ships that come through here. So so open spaces for who and what? This is a long-term fight. People got to be in a mindset for long-term sustainability, equity, inclusion, policy. We got to have legal support and research support. If we don't have able to get the dollars to be sitting at the table, okay, to design the table, all right, not just be sitting at the table, but to design the table for equity, for inclusion, for resiliency, for economic development, for infrastructure, all these things that make up what a city is supposed to have. We got to have, that table has to be set, not by the city, by all of us. And it seems there's always not that plan, that thinking does not go on to be realistic. There's a little bit over here, there's a little bit over there, there's a little bit here, and there's a big disconnect. We got a Department of Transportation don't even deal with trucks. Only when we start talking about trucks, now they talk about trucks. But they went and did a truck plan, did a transportation plan for Howard Terminal and the stadium. But how did that fill into all these other transportation issues in West Oakland about truck traffic, truck parking, truck support, okay? So there is a lot of disconnect and not enough comprehensive action plans to work in concert with each other and also bring equity to this process, to these processes. This is a long haul. This is a long haul. I've been there 30 years. All right. You have to be determined for the long haul. There's nothing short-term about this. Planning for your neighborhood, planning for your city is nothing short-term. And if you want justice, you got to love it. You got to love justice to be able to be involved in justice. Like I said, I came to a meeting about West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project, and I ain't never left. That's my last word.